is iRacing.
Well, it was a masterclass in strategy from Jacob Reed last week. It allows him to pip Valenteus, and also Lundberg pips Van Hicks in the GTOs, but we go from the legendary to the legacy. This is the old Pocono, and it is time for something a little bit different in the IMSA Vintage Series. Turn 4? We don't got no turn 4. What we have got is round 6 of the IMSA Vintage Series here at Pocono Road Course Live on the GSRC. Hello, everybody. I am Craig King. Joining me in the booth once again is Joseph Black, and Daniel Costello will be our director today, using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. In the old days, they drove this track in IMSA without the backstretch chicane. But to get an idea of what we're looking at here, let's go to a quick track guide.
Welcome to Pocono Raceway. Located just 2 hours north of Philadelphia, the Tricky Triangle has been exciting race fans for over 50 years. While the oval circuit is by far more famous, there's some interesting road courses available in 4 different layouts. They range from 1 to 2.5 miles in length, with 7 to 13 corners to tackle. While they all contain at least a portion of the oval itself to help build up speed, they also all have tight, narrow technical infield sequences. Second gear hairpins and difficult braking zones are generously scattered about to help keep drivers on their toes. The international layout is the longest and quickest, using 2 full corners from the oval itself. But the entry to turn 1 there is wickedly hard to both spot and nail correctly in any car. The south layout is the shortest but not the slowest of them, and only has 2 or 3 genuinely slow corners. The north circuit is probably the simplest and gives very few good places to execute a pass. Finally, the east layout is both the only one that lacks any of the oval corners and is made up of the most turns overall. Deceptively fun, it unfortunately forces you to make use of very little width if you want to go racing side by side. All in all, while it may be better suited to club-style racing, there's a nice variety of options to choose from. No doubt fans will have plenty to enjoy at the Tricky Triangle's tricky road courses.
Well, Joseph, that's one video describing the track, but everyone knows one other video with the 3 famous words, second gear hairpin.
Certainly do, and well, it's one of the most iconic videos I think that we could think about. This legacy layout, but 10 corners, 2.5 miles and just over 4 kilometers. That is what we've got here at Pocono, here in Pennsylvania today, and it's going to be very, very interesting. Of course, as you mentioned, those second gear hairpins, turn 1 to 5, they're going to be very interesting, especially on that first lap.
Yeah, it'll be interesting just to see what the drivers get to do around here, because this is an old version on iRacing, so the infield track is a little bit wider nowadays. This is going to be a little bit narrower. They come to the Devil's Elbow, and of course you do have the Long Pond Straight broken up by the chicane. We'll look forward to multi-class later in the race, but let's look forward to the championship standings, because we did say it was close out there. And look how close it is in the GTPs. 10 points separate Jacob Reed and Andreas Valenteus. And Valenteus still doesn't have any more drop rounds left. Remember that. Gabriel Martinez will be third after that victory a couple weeks ago. Lesachat just there in 4th. Finally, David Ricciardi out of that top 4 or top 3, but still there in 5th. Matthew Cockerham will be in 6th. Brendan Lim just holding off Farron Grau and Jack Wells. Seamus Power just holding up the top 10. And if you thought it was close in the GTPs, well, it's very close in the GTOs.
Certainly is, and last week helped it take a turn. Noel Lundberg, fresh off a last lap drama, is just 3 points ahead of Joram Van Hicks. Cal Young, who's also involved in that drama, 31 points back. Mickey Friesen leads a pack of so many drivers that are within 10 points of each other. Ilka Kotisalo, Josephine Becker, Andreas Schuster, and then Fabian Youngbloth, with Martin Kresherik just outside, and Roman Bello is going to be propping up the top 10 in the GTOs.
Going to be very interesting. Remember, it's a single split this week, so the juniors will be also interesting to look at. But it's round 7. I said it was round 6. Where's the week gone? 40 minutes around here tonight, not the 60 like last time at Le Mans. but it is an open setup, so make a setup that you feel comfortable with, or use an iRacing baseline, or use something the community provided. But if you crash, your day is done. There is no spare car out here. The drive-through will be at 17 incident points. It's a Roval. Might be flirting with that today. Be disqualification, though, at 25 incidents. Don't think we'll be seeing that. Normally, when racing comes to Pocono, Pittsburgh, we know it's like in Pennsylvania, sorry, not Pittsburgh, that's in the state, can be a little bit wet, can be a little bit stormy. Don't have that today. 21 Celsius, 81 Fahrenheit. As Jacob Reed is looking to just try to get some more time. He's not the number one car like he was last week. Valenteas is back as the number one car. Jacob comes down to this really weird chicane here. Bus stop there, 7, 8, and 9. And it looks just like it's there just for show, Joseph.
It certainly does, but it is not there just for show. They are very much going to have to break for it, and it might end up being an overtaking opportunity in case there is any mistakes made. We have our first few laps in qualifying underway, and we have Gabri Martinez, the driver, in the lead. Never mind, Jacob Reed comes home with his first lap, and he will be taking that first away. In fact, Jacob Reed was the leader with the iRacing earlier on today when they took to the Lotus cars, but it has been snatched right back by Audrius Valenteas, who was victorious there and hopes to be victorious once again. But it's Reed at the top of all of the standings at the moment in this qualifying session. Alan Bretu, second place, 13.5 is the pole time, 13.7 is the second place time as it stands. And in the GTOs, well, it's Cal Young who's at the top of the qualifying once again, the only driver so far in the GTOs to get into the 22s.
Yeah, Noah Lundberg just watching here. Valenteas just on his outlap here. He'll get ready to do, you'll just get time to do 2 laps, but the number 3 car, it does belong to Noah Lundberg. As he's coming along, this is his first lap, and you'll see the speed differences here. He comes hard down to turn 3 there. It's the longest straight in the infield here to get ready for turn 4. They are kind of identical, and you do see a little bit of curbing on the inside there to help the driver. Then turn 5, known as the Devil's Elbow, gets that right. And then you go backwards on the oval, or the tri-oval, as you could say it. Do love this track. Turn 2, or would be NASCAR 2. My favorite corner here because it's the flat out corner when you come to driving a stock car around here. And then the banked turn 1, we get to it, but first of all we've got to do this. And the interesting thing is when you come to a GTP, you're hard in attacking this corner, but when you're in a GTO you have to slow it down, and that's going to really cause some issues when we come to a multi-class. Most banked corner on the track is NASCAR 1, but they're doing it backwards today. Try not to hit the barrier. 0x will invalidate your time. Looking to beat a 22.8 to try and get into pole position for the champion. And he'll come across the line with the long start-finish straight with 23 flat. Still got some time to find.
Yeah, still has some time to find for Noel Lundberg, who is a 10th and some change behind Cal Young. Audrius Valenteas will come to the end of his first push lap. And he will get enough time for another one. What is this first one going to do, though, as he's going to head up to the line? Of course, it's a long straight, and it's a 13.6 for Audrius to slot himself in second place. These two off in the class of the field, and they are showing that once again today. Split by a 10th and a half are Reed and Valenteas at the moment, and they will get one more lap to prove themselves. And Valenteas will get one more lap to throw himself right up to the very top of this field, riding on board then as we head through this first sector. And of course all of the second gear hairpins we are seeing, and Valenteas just trying to take his momentum all the way through it, and in the end comes out of the other end of it nice and cleanly. 1 minute 17 left in the qualifying session, so no more time for GTOs to get their times on the board. Only those on push laps right now will be able to get to the end of them, and GTPs will follow very shortly.
GTPs will follow very shortly as well. Noah Lundberg going to be coming across the line. I was looking at Aleza Jack. He was on for a really good time. He wasn't. Then Valenteas having a little bit of a slide. The car doesn't like this at the bottom here, but you have to run it. He's going to try make a run down here. He needs to find a 10th and a half. He'll come through the fire and the flames down into row 3. He'll come across the line. It's a 13.5. It just puts him on pole by 3 thousandths of a second, and Noah Lundberg gets that pole position by 300th of a second. It's a tri-oval. It's 3 corners, 300ths, 3,000th. 3 is the magic number today. But there's only one split as the drivers just get ready, and just one more driver, I think, with a chance to set a lap time. And it is the man in 18th, which was Emerson Gordon, who's just down there in 18th. So as the drivers just go by, we see you, JD. Good to see the Foramen back in the IMSA Vintage. But one thing is for sure, it's the same again. It's like Hamilton, Rosberg, Hamilton, Verstappen, Schumacher, Hill, Hamilton, Alonso, Hamilton, Massa. You get the idea. Valenteus, Reed, pole and second once again in that order. Alan Berteau will be in third, with Gabriel Martinez in fourth. Then Christopher Lesajak will be in fifth. Lars Olsen, still one-arm bandit, in sixth. Seamus Power will be seventh, with David Ricciardi in eighth. Javier Mosquera will be ninth. And running at the first page for the GTPs will be Brendan Lim, which means Diego Mastretta onto page 2 will be in 11th. Hamilton Brera Ruiz, we just saw him in 12th. And Matthew Linda will be in 13th, with Gavin Ropchan in 14th. Anu Masculu will be in 15th, with Andre Felipe Diaz in 16th. Then it's Eki Anderson 17th. Next to him, Johan Tijini in 18th. Gonzalo Salvo will be in 19th. Sandro Scheri will be in 20th. He's the last of the time qualifiers, because Benoit Davignon will be in 21st and Lance Simon will be 22nd. Neither setting a lap time in the GTPs. GTOs just as close at the top.
Certainly is. And while Noel Lundberg taking pole position at the end with a lap right at the very death to go 300ths ahead of Cal Young. Mickey Friesen will be lining up in third place, with JD Rodriguez in fourth. Andreas Schuster and Roman Bello in fifth and sixth. Bello just about getting ahead of Shady Ahmad on the basis that he set his lap time first. Ahmad will be alongside Brain then on the fourth row of the grid, and then Ilka Kotisalo and Ian Haycox will round out the top 10 in the GTO field. But with many cars racing, we have many to run through. Turban Palek will be just outside the top 10 alongside Fabian Jungbluth. Martin Krejcik will be alongside Timothy Reed, and then Brandon White, Emilio Deschari, Taylor Ballant, Emerson Gaudin, Richard Heinemann, and then Jonny Berg will round out the top 10 rows and the top 20 drivers in this GTO field. But of course, we keep on going. David Tomaszki and Brian De Vries, the last drivers with times. Teddy Legendro, Alejandro Silva Carrere, Pau Armesto and Timothy D. Wood are the drivers without. There's 26 in that GTO field, and it's certainly going to be exciting.
Yeah, this is where it gets exciting. We did our best to slow it down, get the full formation lap around here, but only so much you can do with greatness as the drivers come through. And this is what this is what I was talking about earlier. Modern day, this is a little bit wider. Even going side by side here for a formation lap is a struggle for these cars. And normally you'd be seeing drivers give a little bit of the wiggle, give a little bit of the tire warming. Nothing here at the moment, but you may see some excuse me's when we come to overtaking the multi-class, and we will see a couple of times through the multi-class for the GTOs. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of single file pacing and train driving here today. We do like the trains hit, Joseph. I think we may be seeing a few patterns here, but I think when the multi-class hit, that's going to really separate the field in a way we've not seen this season.
Yes, we certainly are indeed. And well, this is going to be a very intriguing race. The drivers won't have had a look at this circuit in any way, shape or form before, apart from the practice they've done for it. And so it's going to be a very unique layout for them to approach. And you can see quite how tight this circuit is. You're not going to be able to go three wide, especially through this segment. And through this segment is where the GTPs are most likely going to be quicker than the GTOs, and they're going to be wanting to get through as soon as they can to not lose as much time as they possibly can. It's going to be a very intriguing race, and I certainly can't wait for it.
Yeah, we can't wait for this at all. Like to see some names back in the series as well. Lars Olsen, of course, still on his little recovery, but still one-arm bandit driving around, and I think the arm is really starting to heal. Nice to see some new drivers, but nice to see guys like Javier Mosquera back, and also Diego Mastretta, and got to give a shout out to Emerson Gordon as well. back once again, a community, well, a very popular member of the community in the IMSA Vintage, and always good to see him back out there. So names of old, names of new, all in one big split. 2,800 exactly is the strength of field for the GTPs for drivers, if you're interested. 2,892 for the GTOs, and one big split today. It's the big tent. We're hoping that it's going to be 40 minutes of good racing and classic IMSA Vintage. It's a long rundown through what is Pocono Turn 1. I know they have their own corner names, each of these corners, and I will try and remind myself that this is, of course, Turn 1, and you've got Tunnel Turn at Turn 2 as you go down the Long Pond Straight. Now we're onto the long start line, and the pace car will dart in, and it's a long wait for Valenteus today, and he will just dictate the field, and he likes to wait for the last moment. You'll almost see as the GTOs are coming around the Turn 1 as well. He realizes they're going to start going. Laus also sees it as well. They go green. They're going to go 3 wide behind the leaders as Laus looking for a move. They're almost going 4, but everyone just now holds up, tightens up for toe, going side by side with Martinez. A little bit of a hit. They get on by through. Everyone gets through. GTOs, they're definitely 3 wide.
Yeah, they are. They were momentarily 4 wide as well, and well, that will be 3 wide into the first corner for the leaders. Mickey Friesen, through all of that, is going to take the lead, and that's a huge, huge crash at the back of that GTO field. That's 2 cars mainly collected, and it looks like Jonny Berg and Martin Krejciric are the drivers that have been collected in that incident, more with damage likely, but those are the 2 that have lost out the most. And Josh Brain as well, also out of this race, but that's the way that sort of tightens up in the first couple of corners, and the GTOs have been caught out.
Very interesting development, because Noel Lundberg went on straight. He missed the corner, he missed Turn 1, and that whole wreck, we'll probably get a look at a replay in a minute. It was Josh Brain. He took it, went a bit too long, a bit too wide, and he just caught the grass. And there was nowhere to go for Borbon Pollock and Martin Krejciric, and with how tight it was, collected Taylor Bonant as well. And behind Taylor, there was another driver, Brandon White, getting caught up. So only caught about 4 drivers out, but the carnage was everybody had to slow down, and that's not good for the drivers. What is good is Jacob Reed is trying to get ahead of Gabriel Martinez. Lost that P2 midway through that first lap, by the way, and getting it back, but the gap now between him and Valenteus is 2 seconds. Last week, we saw Valenteus not be able to work the strategy game. The undercut did not work. This week, he needs a really good start and a really good lead. I think he's going to get it.
Yeah, it certainly does seem to be the case. 1.7 seconds for Audrius Valenteus at the top of the GTP field, and he looks like he's going to run away. When Valenteus takes the grip on a race and starts to control it, that is when you really, really see him break away, and that's exactly what he's doing at the moment. He's already just about breached 2 seconds. Gabriel Martinez is going to almost be 1 second behind Reed, so it could be a very lonely race for the drivers in first and second place, as there's classes to this game. And unless Jacob Reed is able to close in on Valenteus, this appears to be the way it's going to go. This is further down the order in the GTP field. Seamus Power at the moment chasing Ricciardi and hoping for an opportunity, but yeah, doesn't want to go for it into Turn 1. It's almost too open of a corner for you to go, because it tightens up so very quickly. But allegedly that goes through on Breto in the meantime, right in front of them for 4th place. And well, that's going to be Gavin Ropchan, who's going to have to try and save that. Manages to do so without hitting any of the fencing, so no damage for himself. And this is for 2nd place. Mickey Friesen may well be losing a position into the first corner. JD Rodriguez has the optimal line, and I'm not sure how much Mickey is actually going to be able to fight for it, because that Turn 1 tightens up so very quickly.
Yeah, it tightens up so quickly, and that, as we see Masculano, and I think that's what's caught some of these drivers out, was we saw that spin from Ropchan, and what happened is still Ferrero re-struggling. What happened with Ropchan, and the moment you get to that infield, this GTP doesn't like it, and it starts to bump a little bit, and the car just starts to unsettle itself when it starts bumping, and that just caused him to lose all the grip, because this is kind of de facto mechanical, the downforce system. The ones got, well, the words have gone for me, like the Lotus 79s. It's kind of got ground effect downforce is the word I was looking for. It's kind of got that in it. So GTPs need to utilize that as much as they can. Noel Lundberg needs to utilize this recovery drive as much as he can. I don't know if it was a little lockup. I just saw a lot of smoke, and it was an ominous paper moment, unfortunately. But Noel has to work his way through the field again, and this is not where he wants to be as well, because he's losing time here. He gets past these 4 drivers. He's somehow got to find 5 seconds. So already he's 13 seconds behind the leaders. He needs a little bit of help right now, and he's getting it.
Yeah, he's managed to get through on those 2 drivers just to try and keep his momentum going. He will be able to get through on these 2 drivers very soon, as one went on the higher line, one went on the lower line. Richard Heinemann is actually trying to fight back the straight line speed down the straight. He didn't give him much of the fight back in the corner, but he's going to go through on 1 and maybe even the second one, as he takes a very tight line here, almost clipping the wall, but in the end able to get ahead of the 40, and the 20 just remains ahead. That's Timothy Reed, who he's got full company for this 13th place, and he'll try and make his way through very soon. Didn't quite have the overspeed to go for it, but the lead in the GTOs in the meantime has swapped around, and it looks like Cal Young has had some form of problem. Maybe not. He lost a lot of time straight away as JD Rodriguez went through, but he's able to claim it right back. So maybe just a little bit of a moment for Young to lose that lead. This is further down in the field in the GTPs. Eki Anderson in the 42, who leads this little pack of drivers. Hamilton Barrera Ruiz, Hunter Yini and Gavin Ropchan. And Anderson, in fact, has lost the position to Barrera Ruiz, and Ropchan is fighting with Hunter Yini. Very late on the brakes for Ropchan. That means that Yini is going to be able to take the title line, almost come through ahead, but not done so in the end. 17th place is where Hunter Yini remains for the time being, and Gavin remains in 16th. But that was a little bit of a fierce fight. Back to the fight for the lead in the GTOs. Cal Young later on the brakes into the first corner. He retakes the lead.
Yeah, Reed takes the lead. In fact, he lost it. He lost the car. The rear went on him at turn 4 and had a little bit of a slide, and that's why JD was able to retake the lead. And Friesen's right behind, just thinking, okay, fair enough, but they've got some troubles going ahead, because I do see on my map that the GTP field are starting to go through the back end of this field, and it's kind of a little bit of a reminder of what happened last week. We've got more GTPs to GTOs last week. This week it's more GTOs to GTPs, but because it's a big split, it's a lot of time to go through and try and make some moves. I think Emilio Dicciari's had a moment out there, or an internet drop or something out there, which is a bit unfortunate. But now Gabri trying to catch up to Jacob Reed, and Jacob has a lot to navigate through as he comes to the devil's elbow. There he is, looking to find something here through turn 5. Got nothing. And now, because of this, the fastest corner on the triangle oval here, he has to really watch out, because that's Armstrong Ballant trying to go side by side. Gabri will get past. No, I don't think Gabri will get past Teddy. Oh, he gets past Teddy, no problem. He gets on by. Hard into the chicane they go. And they've also almost caught up to Balanteas, because he's had some issues. This gives me a Daytona vibe right now with this chicane. It's causing a lot of issues for the drivers in multiclass.
Certainly is, and you can see that demonstrated for Lejusak for 4th place. So he was 1.5 off of Gabri Martinez as they hit the traffic. He's now 2.1, so he's lost 0.6 of a second. That's a huge loss for himself. Jacob Reed, though, has gained 0.6 on Valenteas, so it's a best case scenario for the man in 2nd place at the moment. And Gabri Martinez, he's still remaining within touch. Noel Lundberg still looking for a move, as this is going to be back into the sort of split between the packs. Seamus Power, 8th place, chasing Turban Palek, and there's contact between the two. The slide from Power, bit of a tap. Neither of them has lost out too badly. Hopefully there's no damage on either of those cars, but Power making a slight mistake, braking slightly too late, and well, he's dropped down 4 positions as a result. That's how close the mid-pack in that GTP field is.
Yeah, that all happened after Teddy Legendary had a little bit of a moment, a little bit of an excursion going wide, as David Ricciardi now making some moves. I think Taylor Milano having a mischief there, just holding the drivers up. What can you do now, Brendan Lim? Got a little bit of free air right now to get to David Ricciardi. See what you can do, but the answer is not a lot. And always it's confusing. You see another road course cone right there. There are multiple road courses here on the track, and there's also multiple ways to overtake a car, making sure you don't overcut those tires. Gabri Martinez is probably going to go for the late attack here down into turn 1. He's got the overspeed, but he doesn't anymore, and he's lifted off. going to be very good to see what he can do, but Jacob gets held up, and this is one of the issues that you're going to have at this track, and Gabri goes a little bit wide and loses out because of the speed differences into that corner. The GTPs can go so hard and so fast into the corner, but the GTOs, they have to slam on the brakes there, and that's what caused that little incident there for Jacob and Gabri.
This is where practicing in these conditions will come in. You will know roughly where the GTOs are going to be able to brake, and then you can plan yourself around that. I wouldn't be surprised if we get 1 or 2 GTPs today who literally almost slam into the back of a couple of GTOs. Brendan Lim there getting very close to the back of the 37, but getting through in the end. And this pack has very much tightened up as a result of being in all of that traffic. But yeah, it is going to be very, very tight, I think, for a lot of these drivers, where they're just heading through that first sector, and then maybe just a slight bit of miscommunication is the difference between you getting through nice and cleanly and the end of your race, or the end of the car in front's race, or something along those lines. There is very, very fine margins here at Pocono, and over the next half an hour, I'm sure we'll be seeing some hairy, hairy moments.
Yeah, we're at the half an hour mark, and I think the lead GTPs coming up to these guys. In fact, there's Valenteas in the background. Be able to do so. Brendan Lim's got a lot of damage in the rear of that car, and he's had more overtakes there. You can just see it there. When we had that moment we saw with Valant just losing gear there, he tried to go around and was unable to make any move stick, and that's unfortunate for him. It was quite interesting as well. This is Matthew Linda trying to get around us. He's now in that little battle as well, trying to catch up to Seamus Power. Got that injured Brendan Lim right behind. Corner opens up, corner tightens up, corner opens up, and then small track, and there it goes. And this is so slow. You are basically touching the throttle. You're not slamming the throttle right now. You have to be a little bit careful when you make these moves, but it just goes to show those in the type of corners, the GTOs will probably be faster than the GTPs. It's a real big wake-up call for the drivers to make sure nothing goes on there, as Linda still looking on. I was keeping my eyes open for the GTP traffic going through the leaders. I can report nothing's happened there, but Cameron's lost a lot of time to Reed and Valenteas, as Matthew Linda is still trying to find his way through. It's going to be tough on those tyres around that corner, just like it's NASCAR, but it's in reverse.
Yes, it certainly is, and that can put the load on a different side of the tyres, which can be very, very intriguing to watch. We've got Fabian Youngblood here going for a move on, or actually getting overtaken by Turban Palek. They will remain side-by-side, cars in the background, desperate to seek an opportunity to get themselves involved in the fight. Youngblood taking the inside line and is able to find his way through, so the 13 moves up to 7th place for the time being. But you've got GTPs in the background really getting caught up, and this could make this fight very spicy. Youngblood does not let them through, nor does the car behind, nor does Palek, and nor does Seamus Power as well. So they are going to remain in that order, with the GTPs remaining, just getting in the same sort of order. Seamus looking for a move now, looking to go through on the high line, and does get through in the end. But yeah, it's getting very, very, very tetchy between a few of them, and the GTPs actually moving massively to the inside to stake their claim for the first corner, for the first braking zone. And a few have been able to go through, Seamus being one of them, but it's still a fight for some of those further back. For example, that 13, Fabian Youngblood, who still tries to hold it in. JD Rodriguez closer than he has been for a couple of laps on Cal Young, and he takes the inside line into the first corner. Cal, with not much yet to fight for, is going to allow him through. 27 minutes to go, so they're not going to be hammer and tonging it yet. But I'm sure that will be coming very soon. Mickey Friesen waiting in the background as well for any sort of mistakes, any sort of hammer and tonging. But at the moment, they are going to keep this fight nice, clean and civil.
Well, Pennsylvania is known for a little bit of steel working. Well, that's Pittsburgh, but same thing. Known for the steel work and a lot of the labour work, so they will be hammering down into the corners and hopefully using the tongs to hold the hot steel. Remember, you don't want to be touching hot steel. JD Rodriguez just had a mischief coming out the devil's elbow, and that's what's going to happen if you play with the devil. There's no sympathy today, and it's going to be pleased to meet you, says Mickey. He sees what's ahead, and he sees what's behind with his Fiat, and there's no chance to even look to go side by side through this really weird bus stop at 7, 8, and 9 here. Friesen has worked his way back. Look at this. The top three are out of contention. They're all ahead of everybody. Schuster's 2 seconds behind, and that's because of the traffic. The traffic's just been holding them up and just unable to make some moves. And I was like, look at my track map right now. There's not a clean space on the road. Rodriguez will take the lead once again, and the gap, that's an interesting gap there, because there's almost a car between, half a car between the two of them. If that was the final lap, JD would have a comfortable run to take the win. And I do wonder if Cow and Mickey might be looking at that. They might be happy for JD to lead, because I don't think they're too worried at the moment. Still a lot of time left to go. We're not even halfway through the race. Doing a real nice job, and more cars trying to come on through. Seamus Powell will just skip his way through, and Mickey will catch back up to it as Javier right behind, looking hard. Christopher Lesajak still hunting down Gabri. I think something's happened to Gabri out there, because 3 laps ago, he was right on the back of Jacob Reed. He's now 7 seconds behind. Something must have gone wrong for the Spaniard.
You would imagine that it would, especially with the pace that he normally demonstrates. I think he's just had a lot of problems with traffic, especially over the last few laps as well, where he was, on this occasion, for example, the last time around, he was 2/10 slower than Alej Nasak. He was a whole second slower than Jacob Reed. So surely some form of problem with the traffic, or maybe even picking up just a bit of damage, which is going to hamper his speed. And, well, he's going to try and hold on to the position as much as he can, because, of course, third place is probably the most contended position out of all of the positions on this grid, and that'll be because, of course, it's on the podium. It's the final podium spot. Maybe the race win just takes it, but third place is definitely more fought over than second the majority of the time. This slightly further down the GTP field, and Felipe Diaz, as we've got a switch for the lead. JD Rodriguez is going to be a bit slow, and Cal Young has been able to take this lead in the GTOs right back. And that is going to be one of the GTPs trying to fight their way through, allowing a little bit of room as Huntiini looks like he may well be out of the race, or at least he's pitting early on in this race. Torben Palik trying to get through on Youngblood. Can Youngblood come through and fight back? No. Palik takes 7th.
Yeah, but unfortunate there. What happened to Huntiini? JD Rodriguez also had that a little bit of unfortunate, had the lead once again and went wide through turn 1, and he had to gift the lead right back to Cal Young. Corbin Pollock is having it. Oh, a little bit of a spinner right there in the background behind Corbin Pollock there in the GTP. Did not catch who that was. I want to say that's Andre Felipe Diaz. No, it was Benoit Davenid there who picked up a little bit of damage. Is going a bit too hot as Corbin Pollock. Every time I see this livery, I scream DTM. And he's trying to do some DTM defending on Fabian Jumbluf, who's in a Nissanissimo here. Here's his Huntiini going up the top. And yeah, that's a tough one, because the GTO will want to wash out a little bit there if they've taken that tight line. That's why some of the GTOs try like to, as they say in NASCAR terminology, take the second line. Kind of what we just saw with these drivers. So a little bit of miscommunication there, just tangled up. And it isn't like the Daytona banking or your Charlotte banking. It kind of just patters out a little bit there, so the drivers will be taking different lines, like Jumbluf and Pollock here taking different lines around here, but nothing to say at the moment, nothing going. Forbin's up 4, Fabian's up 4, Noel is down 11, but has made some fantastic gains through the field. And you have to say, if you got a top 10, that would be a great recovery on a field like this. But you know he wants more, you know he's hunting for more. And for his iRacing, I think he definitely wants more at the moment, as he is getting a little bit held up from Emilio Dechari. He would hope that Fabian holds up, gets held up by Forbin a little bit here to allow him to get some more time.
Yes, he'd hope so, as there is fighting right here for the third place, and it will be Alej Nasak who tries to make his way through. He's on the inside line, he gets through. He's getting boxed in. Is Gabri Martinez by the 15 in the second class. That will be Josh Brain, who is 2 laps down on the other GTOs, who's getting in the way of Gabri Martinez at the worst possible time. The number 8 will be so very frustrated with that, but now he does have the run on Alej Nasak down at the next straight. He is 3/10 back, then it's 2/10, 2.5, then down to just under 2, but he's not able to get through in the end. How much are these two going to be held up by this GTO in front of them right now? That's going to be so much time lost. Both tapping the wall a little bit and able in the end to clear Taylor Bellant. and they're going to be fighting once again. They're on the exit, and this is the main stretch of pace that they're going to be able to get. It is going to be Gabri Martinez, who sits just under the rear wing of Olejniczak. He's going to pull to the outside line. The inside for turn 1 has actually been the preferred line because of how much it tightens up so far this race, and that is exactly what we see from Olejniczak. So that's a perfect defence from the pole, and he's able to hold on to it. More GTOs may well get in the way of these two right now.
Yeah, more may get in the way, and more's got in the way of the lead battle between Valenteus and Reed, but Martinez still looking for a way through, and he's still trying to find it as it tightens up. They get a little bit of a breathing space now. Not going to hit a GTO in the rest of this infield. Alan Berteau right behind. Haven't taught anything about him. Oh, Emilio's taken the run. Not where he wants to go. I'll tell you who else has not had the time of his life. Noah Lundberg. We were talking about the chance he could have himself a top 10 today. He came out of that chicane, that bus stop at 7, 8, and 9, lost the rear of the car. In fact, it was this corner. Just took too much of the rear, tapped the tyres. Gabri Martinez trying to go in, and two just not go into that corner. And they somehow made that work. Not entirely sure how. Gabri tried to late send it and had to take a little bit of the grass. No off track there, but that's not what you were expecting. And Christoph's going to be a little bit shocked by that. And now he's just going to have to be a little bit defensive, but Gabri is now having to go defensive himself. Brendan Lim still trying to find drivers to race, even though he's got the damage. Not a lot he can do. And I just thought Ian Haycox. No, it's all going down all of a moment because Ian Haycock just did a Noel Lundberg. He got the break for turn 1. It's all going on for the moment here, Joseph, and all this last minute just got a little bit excited.
Certainly is. It's the IMSA Vintage series, of course it is. But yeah, that was very, very tight between Olejniczak and Martinez. And you said two don't go well too. Forced it. Two made themselves go. And I'm sure they're going to be going at it at some point on this lap once again. As Ian Haycox, there we go, he does go straight on. That looks like some form of technical problem for Ian, so unfortunate. Or he's just gone for the wrong layout. That could potentially be the case because, of course, they're used to the other ones. More of the GTPs heading through on the GTOs right now. And this is they're slicing their way through the pack for what is most likely to be the second time on some of these and the first time on others. This will be Brandon White who'll be lapped for the first time in this session, and it won't be the last. That the monster number 30 will be dropping down to the GTPs and succumbing those positions. In the meantime, Valenteus has opened up the gap to Reed, and Martinez has closed the gap back down to Olejniczak as they head down to the first corner, out of the slipstream already, but the momentum has taken him through, and it'll be the outside line that Martinez takes once again, and once again, Olejniczak breaks later on the inside and is able to hold on to the position into the tight turn number 1, and so Martinez is not able to get his way through and will have to go at it one more time.
Well, it wasn't like a Schumacher Barrichello moment out there, or Barrichello as Murray would once say. It wasn't Martinez pushing him to the wall. Christoph chose to go to the wall. He thought he could just get Gabri off hill to there, and I tell you what, the inside is of inside there for Christoph Olejniczak worked for him. Not entirely sure how, and now let's look to see. It's not easy, not the best way to try and go around the outside of on a GTO in those corners, but Christoph has done it. But the big issue here, gonna have to brake hard as Forbin Pollock's right there, losing all the time, and also Forbin's got to navigate a lap GTO as well. So everyone just having to just watch out. GTO probably doesn't know how to take a different line. Here we go. Is he going to hack it in it? They do, and they almost come together. Gabri had to take the line, but they're so much touching one another, and that's a little bit risky, and they're still trying to find the room. They don't know where they are. They know it's car left and car right. Martinez will have the inside, Olejniczak will have to go all the way around, and the grass says, you come here, boy. You're not staying now, and the tyres have lit up, and he's had to just slow it down. It's a spin for Olejniczak, trying to get going again. Big time mistake. He had to make that defense around the outside, but unfortunately for Christoph, it did not work for him.
Yeah, massive, massive shame for Olejniczak there, who really was able to try and stick it. But that's why you don't go to the outside. That's why everybody prefers the inside, because that is the risk that you take when you go off right there. And yeah, Gabri Martinez ends a classic battle in third place and victorious out of the two, as Olejniczak was the first one to blink. We'll see which one of these two is going to be the next to blink. Mickey Friesen is going to be 8/10 back, but it's going to be Rodriguez and Cal Young for the lead of the race once again. Through goes Audrius Valenteus to complete one full lap of the GTOs. And here comes Jacob Reed as well. That is how close they are on the circuit. And Reed just going to the outside. Cal Young braking early, as is Rodriguez, just to let them go. And Mickey Friesen braking very late off of the circuit in the background. And that is a huge error, similar to the one of a leisure sack, but under absolutely no pressure. So that is what he's going to want to be able to rebuild from, as Roman Bello is able to get the run on Turban Palek on the outside line. Is he able to make the move stick? We've seen so many drivers try to hold the outside, and this might be the first one that we've seen successful. Bello will turn it into the inside line for turn number 2, and the 19 has made his way through for P7.
Nah, Roman. No, you don't. No, you don't. Not in a car with no downforce. Not in the refrigerator did you just do that around the outside of turn 1 there. That is such a wide angle that tightens up. And somehow you've managed to do that on Forbin. And hats off to both drivers for making that respect, having to make that work. That is the move of the day. Maybe the move of the weekend from Romain Bello there, taking that for Jacob Reed. He wants some moves. He's been doing all those moves around GTOs around the outside of turn 1. I don't think he'll be trying to do around the outside of Valente if he catches up to him, but the traffic is not working for him. And normally when we talk about Ion, Jacob just caught the grass there for a moment, apologies. When we talk about traffic management, Valenteus is good. Jacob Reed is gooder. He is one of the best drivers at traffic management out there. Sorry, I know there'd be people in the chat that will probably not like what I'm saying, but it is true. Jacob Reed, really good with the traffic management. You can see why. The confidence he has to just keep it there. He's saying, I'm putting the car here, and I trust where you're going, and that's what usually happens to him. And Valenteus has that same ability. He puts the car there and just hopes, but at the same time, he has to also make a little bit of reactionary movement, so not good. Is he going to get past his one car? That's important. He gets past the slow GTO, and it holds up Jacob, and Jacob doesn't know to go around the outside, down the inside. He can't go through the middle. The grass isn't there. He's going to lose 3/10 out there, and with 13 minutes and change to go, can't really afford this because I think it's going to be roughly 11 more laps out there for the drivers, and he's lost about 4/10 this lap just with that hold up at the bus stop.
Yeah, really can't afford anything else like that now. As there we go, Jacob Reed around in the first corner. And, well, we said he couldn't afford small mistakes. That's a huge one for Jacob Reed. That takes him out of contention for the lead. Might take him out of contention for this entire race. He's missing his entire rear wing. And this is going to be a horrible lap for the number 2. And that is going to be an error he will rue for a very, very long time.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I don't think that's on Jacob Reed. I feel Jacob Reed has done everything he's done normally there. And he's been through the track, driving a few times here. And I'm not going to start pointing out, I'm not going to start apportioning blame. But remember, you've got to be a little bit predictable here. And it feels like the GTO may have just missed his braking mark. And he's not in as tight as Jacob's expecting. And that's what's caught the little tap there. And again, he's gone around the outside. And I'm not saying this is the problem with Jacob, but this is the 3rd time in, the season? This season, maybe even especially last season, where he's tried to just go around the outside a little bit too much, and played with fire too many times, just clefting the edge there and losing his wing. He's going to try and keep on going, but I tell you what, I would not want to keep on going without a wing there.
Yeah, you certainly wouldn't, and you can see the pace deficit that he's got now, but that is a huge, huge moment in this race and potentially in this championship as well. Jacob Reed dropping down to 3rd place. Gabriel Martinez moves up to P2, and this looks like if Reed is able to refine the pace, which I find unlikely, then he's going to be able to fight for this podium and hold on to this podium. Diego Mastretta, further down the order, is going to be trying to fight with Matthew Linder for the top 10. He looks to the inside line, does the 27, and the overspeed is going to be enough that he's going to pull at least alongside. But yeah, the inside line is such that he's going to be able to get ahead, but a little bit of bumping. Linder came through a lot quicker than Mastretta was expecting, and so they made a huge, huge chunk of contact Turn 1 is throwing everyone off here. The latest, Andres Felipe Diaz, who we saw just for a brief moment was off in that corner, and well, he's going to be dropping down the order as well. So the GTPs struggling at the moment to deal with that first corner as the pressure ramps up with a final 10 minutes about to get underway.
Final 10 minutes about to go underway. And I'll tell you what, give a little bit of a shout out to Diego Mistretta. We're not seeing it. He's actually slowed down to give that position back to Linda. And they're going to keep on fighting. Roman Bello's going to keep on fighting as well. You've got Fabian Jungluff in front, got Fulton Pollock right behind. But say it again, that's a Sabbat car. There's an Opel behind, and for some reason there's a Nissan Nissimo LMP1 in front. Ignore that. But we've got drivers trying to go. They're going to go 3 wide down quickly as Brendan goes in, and Bello's going to take this. I called these boys the DTM boys a while ago. I think we're back into that right now because they're having some great little scraps out there. But can we just talk about Jacob Reed has no rear wing, and he's still driving as Roman Bello continues on into P7. Got a lot of time to find because Shadi Ahmad is so far up the road, he won't be getting this. Here's Alan Berteau, and I'm sorry, how? I know that, you know, just take the wing off and you've got it, but there we go. Jacob does not have the top speed. He's going to have to just yield that position. And this is damage limitation because he knows if he just finishes here, Joseph, this is still going to be decent if he needs to use it for a drop week.
Yeah, it's massive damage limitation for Jacob Reed. And remember, Audrius Valenteas has used up his drop weeks. He's got no more left. And that's why Jacob Reed in that 4th place won't mind too much because he knows that if Valenteas makes a mistake like that, it is championship over. Laus Olsen chasing or being chased down even by a Legends Hack who tries to rebuild his race. Olsen did make it through on the last lap, and the one-hand man is going to lose a position here. A Legends Hack goes through, and Olsen doesn't quite have the overspeed to hold it in. He tries to look maybe to the outside of turn 2, but there is not the overspeed there for the 22, who backed out and remains in that 6th place. So it'll be down the main straight once again for a Legends Hack as Turban Palek is right in behind this fight right now for 7th place, and 7th place currently held by Roman Bello. 8th place Fabian Jungluff, and 9th Turban Palek, who goes to the lower line. It's going to be less speed, yes, but he's going to have more of a run out of the final corner if he's able to nail it back into the slipstream of Jungluff. He's going to gain and gain and gain. He's just under a 10th back. He's right under the rear wing. He moves out of it, and he will be committing maybe to the inside. No, he backs out. So Turban Palek does not commit to the inside. I'd say that he should have done that because he would have been able to make his way through, and he actually, in fact, has gotten his way through anyway on Roman Bello, who runs wide in the first corner. So the corner claims another victim. And, well, they are very rusty for that first corner. 8 minutes to go, and they need to nail that right, or they will face massive, massive consequences because you go off into the grass. You have to move out the way for the drivers coming through. There is drivers spread out all across this circuit because, of course, it is a multi-class race. And, well, speaking of the multi-class element, Audrius Valenteas has caught right up to this pack and might have an effect.
Oh no, Valenteas is stuck behind, but he's got such a big gap now. That's my sarcastic impression. That with Reed, it's crazy how much, though. He's lost 3 seconds. And I think it's a little bit now of, there's 7 minutes to go. There's 13 seconds between me and Martinez. I don't know if Gabri's matched my lap times. And I'm talking as Valenteas right now. I'm not saying that, but he's probably thinking the lap times look good. Even though he's lost 3 seconds here, he was still a 10th faster last time by to Martinez. So I think he's happy enough to lose that time on the track. Alessa Jack now goes past Jacob Reed, and Laus Olsen goes past Jacob Reed. So I think he's just accepting that this is the time now to make some moves out there and just hopefully just, hey, it's high, but this car should not be driving right now. I mean, there is no mechanical black flag with Jacob Reed, but you've got to feel if this is the real world, that if that was a car driving around right now with no rear wing, the marshals will be telling him, please, just come in. This is not safe. I am surprised at that as Diego Mistretta just hold off Hamilton Barrera Ruiz. And just want to give a shout out to Diego. He did say earlier today, it's going to be his last race for a while because he is actually going away on holiday. So he won't be here for a month or so. So hopefully he has a really good finish today and doing really well in P10.
Yes, he is at the moment, Diego Mistretta, for that 10th place indeed, and trying to hold on to that 10th place, but he does have a fight on his hands. Hamilton, Barrera, Ruiz right in behind, and there has been lots of fighting all race long for Mastretta, and of course don't forget that move as well that was made earlier on. That was the move where he sportingly gave the position back, but of course was still at the most dramatic moment he's had so far. Tobin Pallet and Fabian Youngblood, well, they had Romain Bello with them. He's 7/10 back now, so not quite within range. And you've got the two Audi Quattros going ready to go side by side towards the first corner, and Turbin is going to be ahead. 7th place becomes his. 8th place is where Youngblood drops to, and Romain Bello is able in the meantime to just get that little bit closer. 5 minutes 35 seconds left in this race, and would you believe it, the GTO top two are still split by less than a second.
Less than a second, and still pretty interesting how close this Fabian Youngblood goes on by. Just to give you that, we're just looking at Brandon White there as we go by. Interesting to see White is 21 points behind Martin Frederick in the junior category. As hang on 1 second, Gabri Martinez had a little bit of a slide, and that's going to allow Alan Rateau, the man who we haven't seen for a while. Rateau's right on the back right now. He's got gold, he's got blue, he's got white, and he's looking to turn that gold into a silver today. That doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean. Round he will go. Martinez is going to fight this, and Rateau goes, sorry, I saw that earlier with Christoph. I'm not playing that game, and he plays it safe right now. Does he think he's got the speed? It's going to be interesting as we go down on the rear, on the diffuser camera here for Gabri. Gabri just holds on as much as he can. Rateau still pushing. Rateau up the run, but I don't know if he's going to actually make a lunge here. We'll wait and see. Martinez goes onto the defense. Is Rateau going to do a Jacob Reed? Going to try to go around the outside, but no, not this time. 4 minutes 20 to go. Still got the time, still got the traffic.
Certainly does. The traffic still playing a huge factor in the fight, and still playing a huge factor throughout the course of this entire race. Gabri Martinez, though, somehow in P2, after all the trials and tribulations he's faced throughout the course of this race. Brandon White has been in a fight for so very long now, and he's got Timothy Reed and Noel Lundberg for company. Of course, Lundberg, who's been trying to build back and then gets knocked down, but he's gotten back up again, and P12 is where he sits. He wants that top 10 finish. He's got 4 minutes to get through on White and Reed, and if he does so, that is a sensational comeback from Noel Lundberg. But as we look back, we were looking lower down the GTO field. We will now look at the lead of the GTO field as JD Rodriguez retakes it. Cal Young is going to try and challenge on the outside, but he's seen this story before, he's seen this script before, and he doesn't want to make it a sequel or a threequel or something along those lines. We've seen so many drivers off at that point of the circuit, and Cal Young does not want to be another one, especially as the heat is on at the end of this race.
The heat is definitely on. Give a shout out to Benoit Davigny there. I don't think the car's got enough speed with the damage to him to make a safe overtake, so he's just waiting right behind and might be holding up Brendan Lim a little bit, but everybody waits for this battle. Don't really want to hold up these drivers as they will go on by. What GTPs will get past these cars? It's going to be interesting when it comes to the strategy right now. And that GTP is really struggling for top speed. This is going to be an issue if they're going to go side by side. And Cal Young realizes that he lifts off. And in fact, JD Rodriguez almost gets turned around. I was talking about the speed on that GTP, and that's a car that does not have the speed right now. He gets on by. JD's got to slow down. He's got to slow down because of it. And Cal's going to take the lead. JD's up high trying to serve this slowdown. And I'm sorry, I've got to say it. If the car is that slow, why are you still driving? And that's the second car with damage out here today, Joseph, I've said should not be driving.
Yeah, it's you should be giving out all the meatball flags, Craig. It should be your job to do so. But yeah, 2 minutes left, and there is a couple of hazards out on the circuit, and well, turn one, of course, is another one. It's not a moving one, but it has claimed so many drivers today. Brandon White almost looking for a move on Timothy Reed. Noel Lundberg just waiting in the background. He does not want to ruin his race once again. He's back up into 12th place. He's done all the hard yards, and he doesn't want to throw it away by going for a risky move for just one position. You can see the damage on the front. of that Audi as he looks to the higher line, but that was already committed to by Brandon White as he tries to fight with Timothy Reed. It will be 2 by 2 as they go through. Timothy Reed and Brandon White will be alongside each other. Brandon will nose ahead. Noel is going to try and commit to that inside line as well. It might be 2 positions lost for Timothy. Indeed it is. And the 30 and the 3 make their way through. Noel Lundberg has a free hit here at Brandon White if he can get one of these final few corners correct.
Yeah, and I do think that it's going to be interesting. He should have had that P10 wrapped up earlier, if not for a mistake. Andres Balanteas with 57, 56, 55 seconds left on the time will take the white flag from Barney. And it's just been dominance today. Once Jacob Reed had that moment out there, he will take the final 76 seconds thereabouts on this track. Gabriel Martinez still trying to hold off Brito. Mickey realizes it. He's trying to keep out of the way, but he also knows he has to keep on safe as well. So Brito loses a little bit of time. Laus Dolson as well, right there battling with Valenza Jack. I tell you what, Laus, if you still only got one arm, if you've got one arm still in a sling, this is a fantastic drive today. And he is trying to hold this as much as he can. Through they go into 2, now into 3. Schuster trying to give them the room, and it helps. But Laus is losing a lot of time out there. Lundberg tries, and Lundberg again looking for more time, but he's got a black flag for incident point. And it's not been the day for Lundberg as the Atom Shredder comes on through. But Balanteas just has one more corner to go, and it's going to be 2 from 2 from the day. Well, will he get a chance at the Triple Crown tomorrow? Will we know? I don't know. What we do know, he retakes the lead in the championship. Pocono, it's Balanteas. That's why he's the gold standard.
Certainly is. Valenteas coming home to take victory, and we barely saw him. The fastest lap as well on the final lap is going to be just a demonstration of his dominance. Gabriel Martinez will come across the line in second, just ahead of a very, very strong performance from Alan Breteau for that third place. The leaders for the GTO have come to the line, and it will be Cal Young beating out JD Rodriguez just about. And, well, they fought so very long all the way throughout the course of that race, but Cal in the end had the overspeed just to keep going. Mickey Friesen rounds out the podium there as the majority of drivers are coming to the end for the final time. Fabian Jungbluth, Torben Palek and Roman Bello have fought so very hard throughout the course of the last 20 minutes or so, and it's going to be a drag race to the line. Jungbluth's going to lift, and it's going to be Torben Palek to take 7th place. Roman Bello tried to help himself along. Not sure whether he did lift, in fact, or whether that was just overspeed from Jungbluth to slingshot himself out of the corner. But yeah, there we go in the end. Torben Palek manages to take 26th overall, 7th in class by 0.05, and then Roman Bello 0.02 off the back. But a very, very entertaining race. That will go down as, well, just yet another IMSA Vintage Series race. We have that every single week. We have drama, and Pocono has delivered.
Is it not an IMSA Vintage week if you don't have drama? That's the question many people will ask. The drivers just come and finish on by. What a finish those drivers had. They were battling all through the race there. And it was very good to see. Here's the winners enclosure. And I tell you what, Balanteas, get your car there. It's nice, clean, and pristine as he takes the victory in the GTP. Hey, that rhymes. He will be P2, will be Gabriel Martinez, who manages to hold off Alan Breteau in 3rd. And then Christopher Lesajak will be in 4th, with Laus Olsen in 5th. Seamus Powell will be 6th, and David Ricciardi 7th. Jacob Reed drags that car to 8th, just beating Javier Mosquera. Hamilton Barrera Ruiz will be up 2. He's actually one of the hardest chargers today in GTP in 10th. And that will mean Diego Mastretta, he says it'll be the last one for a while. He will be in 11th, with Matthew Linder making that recovery into 12th, and Brendan Lim, last man and on the lead lap, in 13th. Gavin Rockchan had a little bit of a moment in turn 1. He'll be 14th. Aki Anderson goes up 2 to 15th. Andre Felipe Diaz, 16th. Andrew Maclusio will be in 17th, with Benoit Davigny, the hardest charger, up 3. Same with Lance Siren, 18th and 19th respectively. Sandos Gary will be 20th. He retired early. And also Hunter Yeni, as you just saw there, retired early. And Gonzalo Salvo did not take the start for your 22 GTPs. GTO, kind of about the same for drivers on the lead lap.
Yeah, pretty similar as well, with Cal Young taking that victory ahead of JD Rodriguez. 1.8 was the final gap, but it was so much smaller than that for the majority of the race. Mickey Friesen, one mistake cost him a fight for the win as well. He ended up in third, and Andreas Schuster took home fourth. Ilka Kotisalo in fifth, and Shady Ahmad in sixth, and Turban Palek, Fabian Jungbluth, and Roman Bello. Look at that, split by less than 3/4 of a tenth of a second. Brandon White will then round out the top 10 in that GTO field. And in 11th, Timothy Reed. Emerson Goldin will come home in 12th. Ian Haycock in 13th, and Taylor Belanta, Noel Lundberg will be the last drivers on the lead lap. Richard Heinemann will be in 16th place, and Alejandro Silva Carrede will be 17th. Teddy Legendre in 18th, and then Yoni Berg and Pau Armesto will round out the top 20 in the GTOs. And just to finish off the rest of the GTO drivers, Timothy Wood, David Tomaszki, Brian De Vries, Martin Krejcewicz, Josh Brain, and then Emilio Dicciari, who is I believe the only driver who ended up DNFing from this race. So pretty good results in all things considered.
Yeah, pretty all good considered, especially after that lap one incident in the GTOs. One driver who had a fantastic race today in the GTPs, we call him the one-arm bandit, Lars Olsen, is with us now in the booth. And Lars, the first question I have to ask is, how's the arm after 2 races today?
It's actually going okay. I can use the right arm a little bit now, supporting the wheel on the straights and relaxing a little bit in the left arm. So it's helped a lot. But I still have to wait another week or 1.5 weeks before I get the cast off. So still a little bit hampered, but otherwise it's going okay, and it was a great race.
Yeah, it was actually really fun to see you go through the field, especially on such a challenging track for multi-class around here, because we're just seeing on the replay, you go through the infield. It felt you had to come to a complete stop at some points on the track, just due to the way the traffic went, but you were able to navigate it through. How was the traffic for you out there?
Difficult at times, but I think you just need to know where you can pass and where you cannot, and then accept where you have to check up and wait for the next opportunity. Because if you get too excited and try to pass some places where it's not going to go well, then you quickly get in trouble. So patience is, I think, the key word here.
Now, you've got a chance to be controversial, just for the fun of it, because this track has divided opinions this week. Your opinion on this track, because there's been drivers that have loved it and drivers that have hated it and never want to see it again. Your opinion on this track?
I wouldn't say I love it, but I think it's fun to drive. Did it one time before, also in the Lotus 49, and both those races today and back then have been really fun. So when you get to learn the track and know where the bumps are and how to navigate them, then it's actually quite fun to drive. And so I like it, but probably not in love with it.
Yeah, that sounds like my ex-partner. Yes, I know what you mean there. Well, Lars, next week, we go to something a little bit more modern. It's, well, I say modern, it's Red Bull Ring. Going to be a little bit of a difference out here compared to this. You go from a track that's really tough to overtake. Next week, it looks like it's going to be a very nice overtaking track, but will we see you, or will we be waiting to hear the sounds of the saw cutting the cast off your arm?
I will do my best to race next week also. It went pretty well today, so I think I should be capable to race next week also. So that's the plan.
Well, that is the plan, and we're still calling you the one-arm bandit for a reason, Lars Olsen. Congratulations on a fantastic P5. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah, thanks. I'm looking forward to it too.
Lars Olsen there, who finished in 5th place, and that is going to do it today. So once again, thank you to the IMSA Vintage community for bringing us back for another season. And of course, thank you to the team today, Joseph, of course, and Daniel, and of course, Dougie. If you do like what you've seen today, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, hit that subscription button. You don't want to miss any more races like next week. And it's funny, I said to my head today, man, the infield of Pocono, it's kind of like that middle section of Red Bull Ring. It's old, it's tiny, and there's not a lot of space. Lo and behold, we go to Red Bull Ring next week on the IMSA Vintage series. So that's going to be a very good time. And don't forget as well, more races happening tomorrow and the rest of the weekend, because we go to Daytona for the Sim Racers Republic tomorrow. And that's going to be a little bit of fun just after the Daytona 24, and then Hockenheim for the Lotus 79s. And just say it quietly, Valenteus is on for a triple crown. It's going to be tough. Skip Barbers will come back on Thursday at Oschersleben. And then the Sim Racers Republic is back again on Saturday for Jerez right before the Lotus, well, the IMSA Vintage, sorry, and the Lotus 49s as well. But the important thing today is last week, it was Reed taking 2 from 2. Today, it's Valenteus. You cannot separate these two, and you cannot separate them on the championship. They'll head to Red Bull Ring next week, hoping to finally try and work out who deserves the championship. But until then, race clean, race hard, and we will see you on the track.
This is iRacing.